So who pays for closing costs? And what are they? What are closing costs? So I love this one because this one comes up a lot. So closing costs are going to be a combination of the fees that the lender charges you for your loan, as well as the title company, the escrow, and then something called prepaids. This is going to be filling up that escrow account, paying prepaid taxes, insurance, sometimes interest. So it's a combination of all of the costs of the loan, and we itemize them all out on something called your closing disclosure, or on the title side of things, they call it a settlement statement. So you'll see the breakdown of each and every one of those. Now, to answer the question, who pays for them? This is actually a negotiable item on the contract. So before you go under contract, so let's say you find a house that you love, let's just say it's $400K. So you write an offer for $400,000 and that was it. There's nothing else in there. You're gonna pay all the closing costs on that, because if you don't state, then the buyer is the one who pays them. But you can negotiate it. Let's say the closing costs are gonna be around 10 grand and you don't really have an extra 10 grand to pay because you're putting all your money towards the down payment. Well, in that scenario, you could go into that same house and say, you know what, we'll go ahead and give you $410,000 for this house, but we want you to pay $10,000 worth of our closing costs. So what that does is now that reduces the total amount of money you're gonna have to pay out of pocket. The seller still makes the same amount, because if it's $400 with you paying all the closing costs, or $410 with them giving a $10,000 credit, they still net the same dollar amount. So they still make the same amount of money. So this is a fantastic win-win scenario where you can go in at a lower out-of-pocket cost to get this house, and the seller still makes the same amount of money. But essentially, that's what closing costs are. They're going to be that total combination of all the fees, and it is negotiable. So it can be paid for by the buyer, the seller, or a combination of the two. You can split those costs up and say, you know what, we'll cover 5, you pay 5, whatever that looks like, whatever your budget looks like, we can find a way to make that work.